Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Monatui, and do you guys remember the PPL? That league that should have ended, like, over a month ago? Yeah, we're still doing that. For one reason or another, that's still going on, even though Sun and Moon is about to be released as of this recording. But PPL is still going on. Thankfully, this is the final match, Week 11. This week we are going up against Liam, aka Unlawful Exile, really good friend of mine, very good Let's Player, very good YouTube creator. His channel will be in the description below. I definitely encourage you guys to check him out. So, funnily enough, we actually have a chance at first place. We have a chance at the championship, which is something I did not expect to achieve this season after a certain point in the season when Kelly and Sam were kind of just dominating through everybody. But basically how it had to happen so that I had a chance at the title was Sam and Kelly, or Sam's replacement now, I believe, which is Lars. Lars and Kelly had to lose like 2 or 3 games in a row, or 3 out of 4 games, and I had to win like every single game after I lost to Necro. And funnily enough, that is exactly what happened. I beat every single one of my opponents after I lost to Necro, and then all of my, both Kelly and Sam, or Sam's replacement Lars, ended up losing the number of games I needed to so that I could take over them. Like, I'm currently ahead of Sam as of week 10. So it's me in second place, and then Kelly on top with a little bit of a higher differential. And actually, if I want to win the championship, I have to beat Kelly by a margin of 4-0 or more, which is very difficult to do, or I have to beat Liam by a margin of 4-0 or more, so that I can at least tie with Kelly. I beat Kelly head-to-head this season, so I can just tie him, and then the tiebreaker will be, the tiebreaker will be who won in head-to-head. That was me, so I will be getting the championship title. But that's very, very difficult to do. Liam has been playing very well recently. He's gone on a little bit of a hot streak. And playing purposely to win by a big differential is not something I've really ever done. Like, I typically don't care too much about differential unless I have to, and obviously this is a situation where I have to. I'm more concerned about just getting the win and then moving on to my next game. So it's going to be very difficult. As you can, like, if you've paid attention to my season this so far, I have not gotten a win more than 3-0 through the entirety of it. I haven't lost more than 3-0 either, but my biggest win this season was 3-0, and I've had a couple of those, but I've not gotten anything higher than that. So I'm going to have to do something I haven't done this season in order to win, and that is to get a 4-0 or higher. But with that being said, we are going to attempt to do that. We have a shot at the championship. We are not going to let this opportunity go by us. So without further ado, let's go over the team that Liam has, or Liam's roster rather. Liam has Infernape, Mamoswine, Whimsicott, Blastoise, Licky, Kiram Black, Drapion, Uxie, Golem, Mega Aerodactyl, and Krokorok. So, not the easiest team to purposely get a big win over, just because he has a couple things I don't really have good switch-ins to. Like, Infernape is a massive problem, Mamoswine's a big problem, Kiram Black, as always, Mega Aerodactyl to an extent. He's got a lot of things that I have poor switch-ins to, or he's got a lot of things that I have like 1 or 2 switch-ins to, or things that are going to be pressured on my team, so it's going to be very difficult to be able to beat him in a way that allows me to beat him 4-0 or higher. But regardless, that's what we're trying to do this week, so let's start going over the teams. Starting off, we have our Terrakion, standard spread, Scarf Terrakion Jolly, max speed, that way I can at least speed tie with his Infernape. And like if he's a Scarf Infernape, I will at least speed tie with him, and I will be able to knock him out with close combat if I win a speed tie. Close combat, Stone Edge, Poison Jab, and X Scissor, relatively standard. Dual Stab hits pretty much the entirety of his team, which is really, really nice. I have X Scissor there just as a move to hit Uxie a little bit better. And then I have Poison Jab there just to get a nice little OHKO onto Whimsicott, since Stone Edge is not a guaranteed OHKO at all. I don't think it OHKOs ever when I'm Scarfed, and it is more accurate, of course. And if he decides to switch in Uxie on this thing, which is more than likely switching, and I go for Poison Jab, I will at least be able to possibly snag a poison and whittle that thing down, which is really nice. With the Choice Scarf, I outspeed obviously a Scarfed Mamoswine, I outspeed any form of Blastoise, Licky, Kiram Black, I outspeed Scarfed, Mega Aerodactyl I outspeed, so I pretty much outspeed everything on his team. The only thing that can possibly outspeed me is a Scarf Infernape, and even then he is going to speed tie with me. Well, I guess Scarf Whimsicott as well, but I don't really expect him to do that. When I have certain things like Fortress and Mew on my team, that he would either bring like an annoying Subseed or annoying variant, or he'd bring like a Specs variant or something along those lines, or like a Life Orb variant. But that's Scarf Terrakion, not too much else to go over. Very, very scary mon for his team. Like, Close Combat Stone Edge just absolutely rips through him. He has Blastoise, which can take 1 and then revenge me. He has Drapion that can kind of take 1 and then maybe hit me with an Earthquake or an Aqua Tail or something like that. He has the Infernape that can check me offensively. He's got the Whimsicott that can check me offensively, but this is not a mon he appreciates switching into, other than his Uxie. He can switch his Uxie into this, but that thing does not have recovery, and it allows me a free switch into a couple other things on my team, so I don't mind it too much. Anyway, with that being said, let us now move on to another very big threat versus his team, Thundurus Incarnate. Now, you're going to see a little bit of a theme with this team. These 4 mons here are going to be basically supporting the last 2 here. These 2 are going to be my big win conditions. These 4 are kind of going to be supporting it. Terrakion is there just to break through a lot of his offense, to deal with the Mega Aerodactyl, deal with things like the Kyurem Black, which are big threats, the Infernape as well. So, well, obviously Speed Type, but I can live like a Banded Mach Punch from full if that is what he is, and I can knock him out with the close combat, so that's why that's there. Thundurus Incarnate is there to also not only wall break, but to deal with the Blastoise, to deal with a Mamoswine. Obviously, like with the Yachi Bear, I can take a Scarf Icicle Crash if he has it, and I can take a Banded or Life Orb Ice Shard, which is really, really nice. With Thunder Wave, I can possibly cripple things like the Mega Aerodactyl or like a Scarf Kyurem, or even like an Infernape, and then possibly get the full para afterwards. But even if I have to allow my Thundurus to go down, if it's only the 1 of 2 mons that I can allow to go down this game, getting off a Thunder Wave before that will be very, very useful, or can be very, very useful for me. This set deals with his team very, very well. I don't have a great way to hit the Whimsicott, but he is likely not going to stay in on me anyway, just because I could be carrying the Sludge Wave or the Sludge Bomb. Plus, I can always Thunder Wave that thing anyway. And I do deal with Whimsicott relatively well with my team, so I'm not, I don't see it too big of a threat, but it could be. Grass Knot is really nice, obviously, for his Mamoswine, for his Golem, for his Krokorok, things like that. I don't beat the Licky Licky, unfortunately, but I do have a couple other things on my team that do beat Licky Licky. Terrakion obviously threatens it, my Mega Altari is going to set up on it, my Mew is going to be able to deal with it, so I do have a few things for that. Once again, huge threat to Blastoise, which is really, really nice. I don't have to necessarily predict with Blastoise. I can click Grass Knot. If he decides to go into Mamoswine, then that's great. I'll be able to knock that thing out after a little bit of damage. Just a very, very big threat to his team. It outspeeds everything bar the Whimsicott and the Mega Aerodactyl. Both of those things I can paralyze, and the things I cannot paralyze, I hit with the Grass Knot, which is really, really nice. So that's Thundurus. I apologize if my commentary isn't great. I'm not feeling super well at the time of this recording, but it is what it is. But anyway, next up we have Jellicent, and Jellicent's the big important one. Jellicent annoys the absolute crap out of him. The only thing he really has to deal with it are the Whimsicott. He could be like a Toxic Refresh Blastoise, that I could definitely see him bringing, because that'll be able to beat me 1v1. Like if I Toxic him or if I Will-O-Wisp him, I obviously have Toxic for Will-O-Wisp, but if he thinks I'm gonna try and go for a burn on something or a Toxic, he can switch in his Blastoise, Toxic me, go for a Refresh. He can get rid of his status. I cannot get rid of his status, which is really nice. But this thing is just really annoying for his team to deal with. Like, Mega Aerodactyl doesn't OHKO me, and I can hit it with the Scald, possibly get a burn on that. Whimsicott, if it is offensive, can OHKO or 2 KO me. If it's defensive, it cannot, but it can annoy the crap out of me, and I don't have a great way to touch it, unless I hit it with the Toxic on the way in. Mamoswine can only 2 KO me if he's Life Orb or Banded. If he is Focus Sash, he cannot, which is really nice. Infernape can possibly 2 KO me, but then he has to hit me with, or he has to predict the switch and go for a Thunder Punch, which is really nice for me. Golem will not be able to 2 KO me unless, again, he is like Life Orb or Banded, which I don't expect him to be. Drapion can kind of deal with me, but even then, he doesn't want to be taking Scalds, which is really nice. Licky Licky, I don't necessarily beat, but I can Toxic, force it to go for Heal Bell, which is kind of nice. If he's not running Toxic as well, he won't be able to beat me 1v1. And then Kyurem Black obviously has Fusion Bolt, but I do have Dazzling Gleam to kind of hit that, which is nice. And if he is Choice Locked into something like Ice Beam, then I will be able to send this thing in for free, click Scald, try and burn something. So this thing just annoys the absolute crap out of his team. I was thinking about bringing a another Acid Armor variant, but I decided against it just because he does have things like the Whimsicott and the Blastoise that can beat me 1v1. If his Licky does have Toxic, he can beat me with that. So I didn't feel like it was worth it this game, though I was considering it. But this set, regardless, just annoys the absolute shit out of him, like I've mentioned before. Like, I can Toxic absolutely everything other than Drapion, which he doesn't want to hard switch in on a Scald. So, very big threat to his team. Very big annoyance to his team. This is one of the biggest things supporting my Mega Altaria and my Mew over here. This Jellicent will be able to beat him. By the way, I'm not running Taunt on this thing, even though it could be nice for certain things, like the Uxie, the Golem. He does have Licky, which is obviously immune to the Taunt, and I just needed Dazzling Gleam so that I could possibly break Kyurem Black's sub if it is a sub variant. Otherwise, I'm going to be very sad if it ends up being a sub variant and I can't break it, because then it gets a kill or two, and that's all I can afford the entirety of the game, so I didn't want to risk that. So yeah, that is Jellicent. Also not Colbur Berry, because I want to switch in on things like the Mamoswine a little bit better, the Infernape. So yeah, regardless, let's move on now to Fortress. Now, lead Custab Fortress was something I really wanted to bring originally, but because I have to win by 4-0 or more, I can't really afford to just sacrifice one of my Pokemon like that. Plus, I need a good switch into the Mamoswine, because if it is Life Orb, it will be able to 2 KO my Jellicent. So, without further ado, here's Fortress. Relatively standard with Gyro Ball and 3 hazards. I'm not running Rapid Spin, as I tend to do, but relatively standard for me anyway. No, not 3 hazards. I have Toxic instead of T-Spikes, because he does have a Poison type, but his hazard removal isn't great. He has Blastoise, which I can block with Jellicent, and he has Defog on Mega Aerodactyl, which is also not great, and I can punish the switches for. Or I can punish the Defog by going out into my Jellicent or my Terrakion, threatening that thing immediately, which is nice. But Fortress is really nice, like I said, for switching into the Mamoswine. Can deal with a Whimsicott that doesn't have HP Fire, can deal with some variants of Kyurem Black, like if he's Specs and I don't want to switch into it, or if he has HP Fire I don't want to switch into it, but I can kind of deal with it. Can deal with the Golem very well, can deal with Mega Aerodactyl sort of. I can take any fire move, bar like Invested Fire Blast, and then hit it with a Gyro Ball, which is nice. I deal with the Krokorok if he decides to bring that. But this thing's biggest job, as it tends to be, is just to get up hazards and set them up by forcing switches. Like if I'm at Sturdy and he has Mega Aerodactyl in, he is not going to want to stay in, because I can obviously go down to my Sturdy, even if he has Fire Fang or Fire Blast, and then I can hit him with the Gyro Ball, do a ton of damage, and he's losing one of his biggest win conditions. Alternatively, like I set up hazards for free versus the Uxie, like it doesn't knock me out with HP Fire at all, even if he's running it. Same thing with Kyurem, like once I'm at 30, like I can just set up a hazard and then deal with whatever he decides to go for. Fortress is just really nice this game for the hazards, because one of the best ways I can beat him by a big differential is being able to switch into his hits, but punishing him for switching by getting up my hazards. So that's a big part of this plan here. Just hazard stack is super important, because again, I do have a spin blocker. Blastoise is more than likely going to be a spinner. I can set up hazards on Blastoise if I want to, like I'll take Scald relatively well. I can Toxic him, even if he does have Refresh, I'll force him to go for it. I do have my Jellicent to wear it down. I have Thundurus I can make an aggressive switch into, so I can pressure the Blastoise. I can kind of pressure the Mega Aerodactyl as well, with things like my Terrakion or Jellicent. So Fortress, I feel like, is a very good bring this week. It's going to be very important. Its biggest jobs, like I said, get up hazards and switch into the Mamoswine. So, with that being said, we've covered the 4 kind of supportive mons for this team. We're now going to be going over the 2 big win conditions. So first up, we have Mega Altaria. Now, Mega Altaria, it's a relatively standard spread that I've been bringing, but this is also very important because he doesn't really have anything to deal with this too well. Like, he obviously has Mamoswine, but because I'm so bulky, he has to weaken me a lot in order for Ice Shard to kill, or if he's Scarfed, Ice Whip Crash will not be able to kill from full, which is really nice. Whimsicott cannot OHKO me at all, even if he is Specs, I believe. He cannot OHM me whatsoever, which is really nice, and I can hit that thing with a return. If he's running Encore, okay, fair enough, but I can play around that a little bit. He does have the Licky, but I do have Heal Bell, so I'll be able to set up all over that thing. He has Golem, which I will be able to set up on unless he's very, very offensive, because I am very bulky. He has Krokorok, which I obviously set up on. He does have the Infernape, which I can sort of set up on. Like, Gunk Shot will not be able to do enough to me to knock me out, because I am very bulky, especially like even if he's Scarfed, like he's weaker, and he can outspeed me after one Dragon Dance, but I will be able to take the hit and then hit him with a +1 return, which will hurt. So this just sets up versus a few different things, particularly because of the bulk, and I can roost off on a lot of the damage, and then I can just potentially sweep his team with this. Not only that, but this is also, Heal Bell is extremely important. Like I said, if he has Toxic Refresh Blastoise, he'll be able to beat my Jellicent. If my Jellicent is Toxic, I can get rid of that thing. If my Mew is status in any way, I will be able to get rid of that thing's status. Terrakion, same thing. Pretty much anything I don't want status. Fortress I don't care about too much, but I prefer not to be burnt. So yeah, Heal Bell is huge for the rest of the team as well. So in a way, Mega Altaria is also a supporting player, but it also has the potential later on to entirely sweep his team. I didn't need Earthquake for his team. Like, there's absolutely nothing that I would really want it for. Like, he has no Fairy Resist on his entire team, so I didn't need Earthquake, I didn't need Fire Blast, I didn't need anything like that. I only needed this, and I wanted to go with the bulk just because at +1 I don't have Speed Mega Aerodactyl anyway, so I might as well go bulky and have a chance at setting up versus that thing. Even though he is going to have a Steel move, I will be able to take that Steel move and then hit him with the return. So, very important Mon. Very, very important Mon for the team. Hopefully it'll be able to put in work. And the last member of our team, the big one, the big win condition, the thing that is giving me the most confidence in being able to beat Liam by a high differential, is this Mew set. And this is the fun one. So, as you can see, our EV spread here, 100 speed EVs, that's just so that I can outspeed... what did I want to outspeed with this? There's something very specific I wanted. Oh, this is for Mamoswine. I believe... Is it for Mamoswine? I believe this is for Adamant Mamoswine. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure this is for Adamant Mamoswine. And this is very, very important. Because if he is Adamant Mamoswine, I want to be able to outspeed that thing so that he can't break my sub after a few bulk ups. And this is a very, very interesting moveset here. Acrobatics, bulk up, substitute, roost, no item Mew. He does have Flying Resist. He has Golem, and he has Mega Aerodactyl. If I set up a bulk up or two, they do not beat me 1v1. The Mega Arrow could if it crits me with Crunch, but the Golem should not be able to beat me at all. They could be running Taunt as well, that's possible, but I don't think the Mega Aerodactyl will be running Taunt because it needs a lot of different moves from my team. It needs Stone Edge to hit my Thundurus. It needs Fire move to hit my Fortress. It needs Steel move to hit my Mega Altaria, and then it may want to have another move like Earthquake just so it has a more reliable way to hit my Terrakion, or it's going to need Crunch for my Jellicent. Did I say that? Crunch, Steel move, Fire Fang, Stone Edge, yeah. That could be his moveset just to hit the entirety of my team. I don't think he's going to be running Taunt because then he's missing out on a KO on one of my Mons. So this is just a really, really nice Mon to have. This is a big reason why I have Heal Bell on Mega Altaria, so that in case he's able to like T-Wave me with Uxie, or Toxic me with Blastoise, or like do something, get like a random Flare Blitz burn or something like that, I will be able to Heal Bell it off. And with Synchronize that may be able to work against my opponent as well, but this can just straight up beat his team. I set up on a lot of different things, like if his Kyurem is more physically based or specially based without a boosting item, or it doesn't have Shadow Ball, I will be able to beat it 1v1. I will be able to set up on it, roost off the damage, acrobatics, etc. Uxie, I can sub up on, and then it cannot do anything to me. Like, unless it's like offensive with knockoff or Shadow Ball, which I don't expect it to be because that's silly, I will be able to set up all over it. Licky, I should be able to set up all over, especially if he goes for a status move. And after a bulk up, he shouldn't be able to break my sub with knockoff. Particularly because I'm also not running it item, which does weaken knockoff a bit. Whimsicott I have to be careful of because it can encore me, obviously. But Whimsicott is never a safe switch in because I am running Acrobatics, which will be a 2 KO, which is very, very nice for me as well. Mamoswine, after a few bulk ups, I will be able to beat as well, and Infernape I should be able to beat most of the time anyway, unless he's Banded or Life Orb with Flare Blitz. So this is just an enormous threat to his team. Like I said, he does have resistances in Mega Aerodactyl and Golem, but Golem doesn't beat me ever, and then Mega Aerodactyl, unless he crits me with Crunch or gets an important defense drop with Crunch, should not be able to beat me. Or if he's running a random Taunt variant. But even then, he shouldn't want to switch in his Aerodactyl into me, because I could be running Will-O-Wisp, or I could be running like something like Thunderbolt in order to deal with it. Plus, If I know he's going for Crunch, I can threaten him with the switch into Terrakion, which will give me the Justified boost, which will make me hit even harder. So it's kind of like a nice partnership there between Mew and Terrakion. Because once I'm set up, he's not going to want to overpredict. He's going to go for the Dark move, and I have a free switch in a Terrakion for an attack buff. So that is Mew. That's the big win condition of this team. Like I said, every single member of my team has a very important role. Most of them have multiple roles. Terrakion is mostly just to clean up if it can. Thundurus also can clean up, as well as possibly get off a last-ditch T-Wave or just deal with his team offensively. Jellicent's main job is to switch into a lot of his different things. Same thing with Fortress, in addition to getting up hazards. And then Mew and Mega Altaria can potentially sweep, which is really, really nice. It's very... This is a stressful game. Again, I'm not used to going for big differential. I'm used to just getting the win, not having to necessarily worry about differential. But this game is not like that. I have to go for the 4 or higher. If I don't get it, then congratulations to Kelly. If I do get it, then I will be really proud of myself, because I did work very hard for this. Even though it's very late, and a lot of people are taken out of this season just because of how late it is and how messed up this entire season was, I'm still in it, I'm still having fun, and I'm going to go for that second championship in a row. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave a like if you did enjoy, and I will see you in the game.